So welcome to another Chris show. Make sure you subscribe and have the notification bell turned on so as soon as I drop these videos, you could like and participate in the comments section. There's been a lot that's transpired in the past 24 hours in regards to Nick Cannon and ViacomCBS. If you don't know, Nick Cannon and ViacomCBS has been partners since 2005. That's when Wild 'N Out first started. So they've had a lasting partnership that's gone on for 15 years. Nick Cannon, you know, he has a podcast on YouTube. He had some words and some views on white people in general, and so instead of misquoting Nick Cannon or trying to give you guys a rundown of what happened or what was said, I'm just gonna play the full clip that everyone's been talking about. It's about 2 minutes and 20 seconds, so if you want to fast forward that to get back to me, so like I said, around 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and you'll get back to the analysis.
Then let's go to what it really is. Then when we talk about the power of melanated people, when we talk about who we really are as guys, and understanding that our melanin is so powerful and it connects us in a way that the reason why they fear black, the reason why they fear is because the lack that they have of it. So then when you see what Dr. Francis C. Welsing talked about is that fear in that
just genetic annihilation,
deficiency of when you have a person that has the lack of pigment, the lack of melanin, that they know that they will be annihilated. So therefore, however they got the power, they have the lack of compassion. That melanin comes with compassion. Melanin comes with soul. That we call it soul. We soul brothers and sisters. That's the melanin that connects us. So the people that don't have it are a little, and I'm gonna say this carefully, are a little less, and where the term actually comes from, because I'm bringing it all the way back around to Minister Farrakhan, to where they may not have the compassion or the when they were sent to the mountains of Caucasus, when they didn't have the power of the sun, that the sun then started to deteriorate them. So then they're acting out of fear, they're acting out of low self-esteem, they're acting out of a deficiency. So therefore, the only way that they can act is evil. The only way they have to rob, steal, rape, kill, and
fight or flight,
in order to survive.
Exactly.
So then these people who didn't have what we had, and when I say we, I speak of the melanated people. Right. They had to be savages. They had to be barbaric. Because they're in these Nordic mountains. They're in these rough, torrential environments. So they're acting as animals. Right. So they're the ones that are actually closer to animals. They're the ones that are actually the true savages. And then they built up such this I don't want to say warrior, but they built up such this conquering barbaric mentality.
So Nick Cannon said that shortly after on VH1, instead of Wild 'N Out being aired, they were airing Fresh Prince. Then we got the news late Tuesday night that they have fired Nick Cannon and no longer doing a partnership and taking that away from him. So Nick Cannon said that, and it got a lot of people upset. It got white people upset, saying Nick Cannon is racist and anti-Semitic. Then it had black people upset because they were like, so Nick Cannon gets held accountable more before the people that killed George Floyd, the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. Basically, if you're a black person that commits something, you're going to be held accountable way before a white person that does it and says anything. And then there's the other spectrum of people, and this is where I kind of am. So then you have people on Fox News like Ann Coulter, Tucker Carlson, Rush Limbaugh, these people that spew hatred, spew ignorance, and spew racist beliefs on a daily basis, and these people have never been held accountable, and these people have never been fired for their thoughts and beliefs. But as soon as Nick Cannon said something that in reality, if you look up history that wasn't written in the American history book, you will go and see what is colonizing. Colonizing is going in and taking over a country and then expressing your beliefs, thoughts, and all that. Trust and believe me, when they were colonizing, they weren't doing it nicely. There was killing, there was raping, and all of that. Everything that Nick Cannon was saying that they were savages and stuff about, exactly. Now, what Nick Cannon said. There are some parts that I didn't fully agree with, saying that white people were less than and stuff like that. I'm not gonna say that they're less than, because you know all people are created equal. But when we go into talking about white people and their history of savagery and raping and pilgrimaging and all of that, you can't deny it. And bringing it up and talking about it is not being racist. It's just talking about history. The proof is in the pudding. How come slavery went on into the 1860s? How come all the colonizing happened from typically white countries like France and Britain? You know what I mean? It's just the numbers are on the wall. And if you guys want to be mad and offended by it, then sure. But when Nick Cannon gets held liable, but Rush Limbaugh and Coulter, like I said, Tucker Carlson, have openly been racist or openly been against Black Lives Matter or any type of movement with black people or with those things, and they're not held accountable, but Nick Cannon is. This is why we need to start building our own stuff, building our own network, building our own brands, and doing that so we don't have to rely on these people for that. Because ViacomCBS has been profiting off black people for how long? They've been profiting off black culture for how long? We need to stop that. We need to start profiting off ourselves and start doing this. As I was making this video, Diddy reached out to Nick Cannon and said, hey man, you might have been let go by them, but I'll find a way on my platform to get you a show or get Wild and Out back. So Nick Cannon, people are like, oh, he's about to be unemployed and all of that. He ain't gonna be unemployed for long. He took a stand. He was just being honest about the history of it. Like I said, I'm not talking about the less than of part, but when you're talking about the rape and the savages and all that stuff, just read the history books, not the ones that America created that we read in our textbooks, fabricated bullshit. No, not that. If you look up the real history, yeah, you can't deny it. That is part of your history and that's part of your past. Oh, and by the way, Diddy owns Revolt TV, and that's where potentially he could have Wild and Out and things like that aired. So that's good of Diddy, and that's good that people can have an app platform, an avenue for speaking their mind on something. If he said something like, I don't know if you guys heard last week with Deshaun Jackson and Steven Jackson. Now, what they were saying and what they were doing, I ain't agreeing with it. I'm not vibing to it. They were spreading pure ignorance. Never quote Hitler. But what Nick Cannon said and what he was doing, like I said, besides the less than of part, that's the part I don't agree. All people are created equal. We all need to act like that. But you cannot deny white history of savagery, raping, pilgrimaging, making people slaves, and all of that. It is there. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys an update about that. You know, Nick Cannon definitely will have a home. It may not be the same, and it may not be syndicated how it was in the past, seeing Wild and Out on VH1, but he still has an avenue to play his shows and stuff going forward with Revolt TV, which is completely black owned. Now I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comment section. One, do you agree with Nick Cannon? And if you do agree with Nick Cannon, do you agree with everything? Do you agree with parts of it? Let me know how you feel about that. Also, how do you guys feel when people on Fox News can spread hate and spread ignorance and not be held accountable and still get paid millions for it? But the minute Nick Cannon does something in comparison to that, he's held liable and he's accountable and he loses his job immediately. Not even like a day later. It was that same day. You know what I mean? And then lastly, if Wild 'N Out goes to Revolt TV, will you still watch it there? Are you gonna check it out? And do you respect Nick Cannon a little bit more after he did this, knowing he was probably gonna lose his sponsorship, lose his job and all that? I know personally that I do. He took a stand, and I respect what Nick Cannon is about and what he does going forward a lot more now after that. So yeah, I want to hear what you guys have to say. But as you know of Chris, I post the news whenever the news happen, whether it's today, tomorrow, a week or two from now. That's why you need to make sure you're subscribed, you have the notification bell, so you can like and participate in the comment section as soon as I drop these videos. This Chris, I'm out this motherfucker.